Today's episode on the project is we have another coach, TJ Belger from CrossFit San Rafael. Maybe you know him because his team is really good at team exercising, among other things. But one of the reasons that we're talking to him is, what are the big problems that you see in your gym as a strength coach? And so what I want to ask you is, what are the big white whales in your gym? Like, hey, these are the things that kind of keep coming up, and what do you do about them?
So I would say in the beginning, when you get somebody in, you introduce that overhead squat, right? For the first time, hollow pole.
Is that a problem?
It seems to be a problem.
Hey,
right?
dude, my overhead squat. What's
right.
going on with my shoulders?
Exactly right. That and the dreaded bent arm. Doing the old push press at the top. Can't get those arms locked.
So what do you do for that?
So normally what we have to do is we got to do that wall therapy. We got to get them on that wall, put those hands up. That always tried and true. Definitely huge effort with the box. Got to put them on a box. That's what I found with that huge reach, long. Try to elongate that hamstring, get them confident.
If you're talking about, okay, that's motor control, coaching stuff, as we deal with it. Okay, we got athletes in a good position, but hey, I'm still having a hard time. What do you fix that in a mobility scheme?
In a mobility scheme, we definitely got to hit. Definitely, those hamstrings have to get worked huge. Tons of band work for that upper body. They have no idea what their upper body flexibility is, whether it's bad or good.
You mean if I'm just like a pterodactyl all the time?
Exactly.
All of a sudden I can't be unfair. Okay, so let's do then program. So you program some just posterior chain, some flexion stuff, and then band. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and talk about we'll do a 5-way band, shoulder stuff. So will you show us what you do with the band, the shoulder band?
Absolutely. You had it on the other night. I love definitely getting them to get through that lat and tricep. Stepping back through there, I love the hunt cue, right? Hunting for that thing. Is it my pec? Is it my tricep? Is it my lat? Which way am I turning my hand, right? Trying to get them to get all that stuff in there nice and deep, right? I watch. This is, of course, if you're not dealing with snakes with guns, which is a totally different area that you have to work on.
Bam, watch out, snakes with guns.
Right, so we get like that one. We like to get the band down low, pulling in through here. I've been doubling up with the bands with a lot of my folks, where we get that band up to pull that shoulder back, get it up and through in here, right? So it's keeping it back in, and then getting that second band in.
Whoa, double banding! You mean you should mobilize in a good position?
That's exactly it, right? Stepping through to keep that shoulder back, because you see a lot of those folks, as soon as they get that tension, rolling that shoulder out, popping that shoulder forward, doing nothing for themselves, right? So hunting around in that area as well.
Do you explain the context? Like, hey, here's what you're going to have a problem going overhead, or just like, hey, you just need to do this for your shoulder?
No, they got to know all that stuff. They have to put it all together, right? They got to know that when they're in this position, if they don't have that shoulder in the right place, they're not what we're looking for. Sadly enough, I used to teach it like that.
It's before.
Before.
We can't reveal them. The idea, though, is always, if you're talking with mobility with your athletes, make sure they have the context of what they understand what they're doing. That if we're really doing a plain mobility, like hamstring mobilization, we've got that hip, we're winding up. We want to load, we load again. We want to make sure that the athlete can correlate that with load again, or the same kind of tension that we do from the bottom, and just giving it that context makes a big difference, yeah?
Absolutely.
What else would you do? Last one, big whammy, what's the piece? So what's the magic bullet you guys have in your gym?
Probably the thing would be the depth. The depth of a squat. There's people not recognizing it, right? When they think depth, they're thinking that.
Oh, look how straight his feet are. That's freaking me out, man.
Right? So they just don't know that lumbar arch is just
not
recognized.
If there's a mobility piece with that besides working on posterior chain, what would you do?
That's when I feel like I got to start getting that ball in there. I got to really start breaking up that stuff that is not as easy to get to with the band.
So thinking through in systems, and what you just heard was an intelligent coach say, is it motor control? It's got to be, make sure we're cueing our athletes, putting our athletes in the right position, especially as they get stronger and better. We've got to be thinking, is it tying the context of a mobilization of a tissue with the movement? So you've got some contract, relax, using the band, and finally thinking through some sliding surface things. The bands bias that tension, or bias that hip capsule, bias that joint position range, change that physiologic range quality, but you've got to be kind of giving people a little package.
Absolutely.
Do you overwhelm them? You just do a couple things?
Couple things. They're being overwhelmed already. Right?
And that's the key. TJ's Gym, CrossFit San Rafael. We'll see you guys tomorrow.